Some people post on Instagram and never check their likes. Not once. In a world where most people refresh notifications, track engagement, and tie their mood to numbers, that behavior looks almost unnatural. Most assume it's discipline or confidence. It's neither, it's wiring. Something happened before social media ever existed that permanently changed how these people experience self-worth. They're not stronger, they're not better. They simply grew up before validation was something you could measure, before likes, before comments, before every moment could be watched, judged, and scored. These people aren't broken by the algorithm. They're immune to it. They're Gen X. Most people assume Gen X just doesn't get Instagram, that they're technologically behind, or that they don't care about staying connected, but psychology tells a very different story. Gen X isn't afraid of social media. They're immune to what it's designed to do. Social media promised connection. What it delivered was a performance stage, where your worth is measured in hearts, comments, and views, and Gen X's brain never learned to play that game. Picture this. You come home from school. The house is empty. Your parents won't be back for hours. No one is there to see your drawing. No one is there to watch you ride your bike. No one is documenting your every move. You played outside until the streetlights came on. You built forts in the woods. You created entire worlds out of nothing. And the only witness? Maybe your friends. Maybe no one at all. There were no cameras capturing every moment. No parents posting your achievements online. No instant feedback loop telling you whether something was good enough. You did things simply because you wanted to. Not because someone would see it. Not because you'd get praise. Just because. When you drew a picture, you drew it for yourself. When you learned to skateboard, the only applause was the quiet pride you felt when you finally landed the trick. Success wasn't measured in likes or shares, it was measured internally. Psychologists have a term for this: intrinsic motivation, the ability to be driven by internal satisfaction rather than external validation. But Gen X lived it long before it had a name. Without constant feedback from others, they learned to validate themselves. They developed an internal compass for self-worth that didn't depend on anyone else's opinion. Their value existed whether someone was watching or not. Doing something well mattered, even if no one ever knew about it. This wasn't just a mindset. It was how their self-worth was built. You can still see this today. Gen X usually has social media, maybe Facebook, maybe Instagram, but look at their profile. Last post? 6 months ago, maybe a year. They're watching, but they're rarely performing. They don't feel the need to document every vacation, every meal, every thought. They don't announce their achievements. Got a promotion? Their close friends know. The rest of the world doesn't need to. Watch how they react to compliments. Public praise makes them uncomfortable, not because they lack confidence, but because they never learned to depend on it. Their self-worth was built in private. And that's where it still lives. In meetings, they don't need to be the loudest voice. At parties, they don't need to be the center of attention. Online, they don't need constant engagement. This isn't insecurity, it's the opposite. It's being so secure in yourself that you don't need anyone else to confirm it. And this is where the disconnect happens. Gen X genuinely doesn't understand the anxiety younger generations feel about their online presence. Why do you care what strangers think? That question isn't dismissive. They literally cannot relate. Their brains never formed the connection between self-worth and public approval. Every heart is a tiny reward. Your brain, learns that pattern quickly. Post. Check. Dopamine hit. Repeat. Most people learned that loop early. Gen X didn't. The technology arrived too late. If you're Gen X, you probably nodded along to this. You've watched the rise of social media with a mix of confusion and concern. You've seen people spiral over engagement numbers and genuinely wondered why it matters so much. That thing you have, the ability to just be without needing constant validation, it's not common. It was forged in those quiet afternoons when no one was watching, in moments of achievement that went uncelebrated by anyone but you, In a world obsessed with being seen, you learned the power of being unseen, and that may be one of the most valuable traits anyone can have. The irony? You developed the exact quality everyone on social media is desperately seeking: authentic self-worth. They're just trying to find it through the very thing that destroys it. What other Gen X traits should I cover next? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.